Thank you for joining us. It's a case out of Kenosha that has captured the attention of our nation. Kyle Rittenhouse is charged with killing 2 men and shooting a third during last year's riots in Kenosha. Let's get right to our Andrea Albers, who's been following opening statements all morning. Andrea.
To set the stage, these opening statements are explanations of what each side claims and a preview of the witnesses each legal team will bring forward and the evidence they plan to eventually lay out, trying to prove their position over the course of this trial. Before the jury entered the courtroom Tuesday morning, the defense team asked Judge Bruce Schrader for an update on the motion to drop the gun charge against Kyle Rittenhouse, claiming there is a loophole for 17-year-olds.
No. That's the last part of the statute. In Wisconsin, if you're under 16, you need to be accompanied by an adult to hunt, as long as you have hunter safety. If you're 16 and 17...
That's how you read it.
Right, not how we
He reads it differently.
That's how the DNR reads it. And that's how they cite.
The judge ultimately said he wasn't ready to rule on that yet, and after a few more procedural legal discussions, the jury was sworn in and received instructions from the judge.
You are to decide this case solely on the evidence offered and received at this trial.
Rittenhouse was seen yawning throughout the morning, including while the judge was reading the charges against him. The state presented an opening statement first, acknowledging that hundreds of people experienced or took part in the riots in Kenosha. But Rittenhouse, they say, set himself apart with his actions.
But out of the hundreds of people that came to Kenosha during that week, the hundreds of people that were out on the streets that week, the evidence will show that the only person who killed anyone was the defendant, Kyle Rittenhouse. The evidence will show that hundreds of people were out on the street.
The defense followed.
We have two very different outlooks on the events of August 25th of 2020.
Now, the defense just started laying out its opening statement. Mark Richard, Rittenhouse's lead lawyer, began about 10 minutes ago. He'll be using dozens of photos and videos. The state objected to the use of all of those videos and photos, but the judge allowed it, saying they appear to be relevant and authentic. Back to you, Julia.
Okay, Andrea, thank you so much. We'll be staying on top of that. And this Rittenhouse trial can be polarizing for many people on both sides. Many people say that this trial is about Jacob Blake or riots or a referendum on policing. We talked with a legal expert this morning on TMJ4 Today who reminded us that jurors will only be focusing on Kyle Rittenhouse that night.
This won't be about the riots. This won't be about Jacob Blake. This won't be about policing. This will be about very specific issues. And one of the things the judge is going to do is he's going to read the charges to the jurors.
Here's a breakdown of what those charges are. 1 count of first-degree intentional homicide. That intentional homicide charge was for the death of Anthony Huber. The complaint says that he aimed the weapon at Huber. 1 count of first-degree reckless homicide for the death of Joseph Rosenbaum. There's been no video of that shooting that we've seen that exists that we know of, but a reporter at the scene says Rosenbaum tried to grab Rittenhouse's gun. And 1 count of attempted first-degree intentional homicide for the shooting of Gage Grosskreutz. The video shows Rittenhouse pointing his gun at him and shooting him in the arm. And a few lesser charges as well. 2 counts of recklessly endangering safety, 1 count of possession of a dangerous weapon by a minor, and 1 count of failure to comply with an emergency order. Here's a breakdown of the jury. We know there are 12 jurors and 8 alternates. 11 are women and 9 are men. The ages of the men and women range, but the group leans older. Our Stephanie Haynes is in the courtroom right now. Follow her with Twitter updates throughout the day. You can watch her live reports starting on TMJ4 News at 5 o'clock. And you can watch the trial live, gavel to gavel.